I want to start with a few comments. You know, this week for many Christians from all around the world, they'll begin to be engaged in various prayer services and liturgies for what's called Holy Week. It's a kind of a 3-day retreat, and it leads to the celebration of Easter, which will be this coming Sunday. And Thursday, the first of those 3 days, is it's a reflection that begins with what's commonly called the Passion of Christ. The word passion means suffering. So it's a time for Christians to consider the suffering of Jesus as well as their own suffering, maybe even in light of their own suffering. But you know, Christianity is not the only spiritual tradition that focuses on suffering. Buddhism certainly has teachings about suffering, and there's a fundamental teaching about it that invites us to reflect on suffering and even its value in our life. The foundational Buddhist teaching is called the Five Remembrances. Some of you may know that. But the teaching suggests that we consider and remember these 5 truths or realities about life. First one, I'm of the nature to grow old. I cannot escape aging. Number 2 is I'm of the nature to become ill. I cannot escape sickness. I am of the nature to die. I cannot escape death. The 4th is everyone I love and all that's dear to me are of the nature to change, and I cannot escape being separated from them. And finally, my actions are my only true belongings. They are the ground on which I stand. It's kind of a hardcore teaching, and some of us might even resist these remembrances. What's the point of purposely reflecting on aging and illness and dying and eventual separation from our loved ones? Isn't that just kind of negative and depressing? So why bring it up? Why even talk about it? Well, as we all know, suffering is a part of just being human. It's going to happen. It's already is happening or has happened to us, whether it's grief or illness, fear of loss or uncertainty. No one's really exempt from suffering. I think that's why all the great spiritual and religious traditions who have any real merit anyway will raise the issue of suffering and will hopefully also teach us ways to work with it. Because often our instinct is to turn away from pain. It's natural that we would, and it is important in terms of our survival. You know, we resist, we distract, we try to fix. But sometimes what we resist often lingers and even tightens its grip on us. So mindfulness offers us a different way. Instead of turning away from suffering, it invites us to turn toward our pain, but with a kind of gentleness and curiosity and compassion. And not just to solve it, but to learn also how to carry it. Of course, solving has its place, but not all suffering can be fixed. And so we must learn to carry it with some sense of wisdom and understanding, and even with a kind and open-heartedness to it. As Jon Kabat-Zinn says, mindfulness is a way of being in wise relationship with what is. It's not about escaping our suffering. It's about meeting it fully without judgment and discovering that we can also be present to it even when life hurts. The 5 remembrances are not meant to frighten us, but to wake us up, to ground us in this reality, to remind us that suffering is not a punishment or a flaw, it's the truth of life. And in remembering this, we do grow wise as we live our life on life's terms. And we can start to let go of this illusion that we're supposed to be in control of everything. We can begin to meet ourselves and each other, maybe with some more tenderness, more humility, more love. Mindfulness gives us the space to hold our suffering with care, and it reminds us that we're not alone in our pain and that within our pain, there's still beauty, still connection, and there is still life in all its fullness. As the Sufi poet Rumi writes, the wound is the place where the light enters you. So we might find a way to actually embrace that at times. And so we need the practice to help us not to escape suffering, but to befriend it, to sit beside it like a companion, and to let it teach us how to love more deeply and live more fully and become awakened to what matters most. And with that in mind, let's take a few moments to settle into this stillness and this silence and this sitting here in this practice of mindfulness. So I invite you now to find a comfortable, reasonably comfortable position, sitting upright and yet relatively relaxed, and allowing your hands to come to rest gently on your legs or in your lap. And if it feels okay, you can close your eyes or gently, or just leave the eyes open, just gently lower your gaze down to the floor. Just so that there's a little sense of quieting and centering. And we'll begin by just simply noticing the breath. No need to change it, just observe. Experience the breath moving in and the breath moving out. And when your mind wanders, which it will, just gently return to the breath and the body sitting here, and doing your best to do so with a kind of gentleness or kindness, not force. And in that sense, letting yourself be held or carried in this kind of compassionate, understanding awareness. And to enter into this sit more fully, I'll invite the bell and just let the bell ring off into silence, and let that silence be present. whatever you notice, whatever's present, simply acknowledge it. And doing so as best you can with a gentleness, a kindness, just noticing. Oh, this is showing up, this is here. This belongs here in this moment. This emotion, this thought, this storyline, it's a part of being me, it's a part of being human. But I don't need to be attached. And so just doing your best to notice and then let it go downstream. Not getting caught, not biting down on the hook. Or when you do, then notice that you have and release it with the utmost of gentleness and understanding and kindness and compassion. as you're working with the mind, when it's getting caught up in a thought or an emotion, when it's liking or disliking, or even just kind of not being interested at all in a certain way, just meandering, daydreaming. As soon as you notice that, just doing your best to direct the mind back to the moment and without any fanfare, without needing to make an evaluation about that. Just directing the mind back to noticing this in breath and this out breath and this sitting here. If you like, as you breathe in and breathe out, you could add some simple phrases to remind you. May I meet this moment with kindness. May I hold my suffering with care. May I remember that as I sit here, I am not alone. May I be present and at ease. You can link these phrases or one of these phrases with your breath as you return to the moment, or just simply rest in the silence. And as we near the end of this sit, I want to first read the 5 remembrances again before ringing the final bell and invite you to consider which of the 5 remembrances resonates with you most right now. Which of the 5 resonates with you most right now? And what might it be inviting you to see or accept more deeply? This is just for you to consider just for 2 minutes and not won't ask you to share it or anything, but just for yourself. Which of the five resonates most with you right now, and what might it be inviting you to see or accept more deeply? I am of the nature to grow old. I cannot escape aging. I am of the nature to become ill. I cannot escape sickness. I am of the nature to die. I cannot escape death. Those that I love and all that is dear to me are of the nature to change. I cannot escape being separated from those I love. My actions are my only true belongings. They are the ground on which I stand.